Hey everybody, Charltonians. I don't know. What night is it? When are we?
Saturday night.
Saturday. It's a Saturday. 7 feet. Mostly for this table. I feel like y'all are all, I can see the curiosity in your eyes. Yeah, gotta get that out of the way at the top of every set. That's the only time I've ever been heckled, was just someone couldn't hold it in. Being as tall as I am kind of changes the way you live your life a little bit. I get a lot of weird questions in public. People treat me like a mythical creature. My favorite question I get asked when I'm out and about is a two-parter. First part is, are you on stilts? Yep, here I am in the deli aisle of a Publix, just circus performing. Part two, when I say no, that'd be silly, as people would say, they say prove it. Because my word is garbage, apparently. So I gotta lift my pant leg for a grown-ass adult to show that I'm not on planks of wood forever. Sometimes I feel like a mythical creature, because whoever built everything just didn't think I existed. I can't shit on planes. Beamer's just too long, just can't. I get about here and we're done. Last time I tried, I had to do it with the door open. Very intimate experience with me and everyone else on the plane. Every time someone walks by, you gotta do like the white guy, like, how's it going? Don't mind me, how's it going? Don't mind me. I've been considering pursuing a life of crime. Not sure about it though, because I'm not sure how I'd fare in prison. I'm not worried that I'd be a prison bitch, because that's kind of implied. I'm worried I'd be a novelty bitch, like the Blue Eyes White Dragon of prison bitches. You don't have to hold it in. The more laughs makes my ego feel great. They would trade me around, like, I'll trade you my big fucking furry one for your two little Mexicans. Like, we'll make a deal. I'll be the hot commodity around the yard. I'm not sure also how I would translate, my only fighting experience has been accidentally elbowing people in the eye at concerts. And I'm not sure how you turn that into something intentional. I feel like I just get beaten up a lot. So my family is, I come from a white family, if you can't tell by all of this. I have what I like to call a commentary dad. This is a good example. We were going to see a documentary. It was the premiere of the documentary, sitting in a theater full of people, including the subject of the documentary, all of the people who worked on the documentary. It was about a guy who lost his arm because he accidentally stumbled into a bear carcass that had been killed by a live electrical wire, which is a problem that I didn't know was such an epidemic. Apparently in Montana, that's like the 8th cause of death is electrified bears. And all my dad could think to say in the middle of this crowded theater was, "Don't poke the bear." Because it had to be said. Someone had to say it, and that someone was my dad. My mom is the type of person, let's see if you can get a beat on her just with this one descriptor. She speaks in a Mexican accent to her chihuahua to make her feel heard. That's the most ethnic person in her life. So, my little sister is adopted from China. And so whenever my mom and I are out in public with her, she feels the need to point out every other Asian person in public to my sister. Like, look, Lily, she's Asian too. My sister's 14. She knows what Asian people are by now, I hope. Not really sure what she expects from that. Like, she's gonna run off in a field and gallop with her people. Like, I don't point out every other woman in her mid-50s with like dyed hair and a weird outfit on and be like, look, Mom, she's desperately clinging to youth too. Just feels mean. So let me take a look at my notes here. It's been a little while. So, I have a genetic disorder called Marfan syndrome. It is a genetic connective tissue disorder which impacts basically my entire body. It makes everything that holds me together a little bit more fundamentally elastic and flawed. The reason I talk about this is because it's important for everyone to know if you have this disorder. So if you see someone like me out in public, gently tell them to see a doctor. Don't walk up to people and be like, you look fucked up, see a doctor about that. They don't take it well. So just gently tell them to see a doctor. The reason why I talk about this is because I work for a nonprofit where I speak about Marfan syndrome, and usually I'll do most of my speaking during February, which is Marfan Awareness Month. You know, February, the month that everyone knows, is Marfan Awareness Month. So glad we got our own month with nothing else going on. They reserved it just for us. So I get to be the white guy on my Facebook page amongst all the Black History Month posts being like, but remember my pain as well. Pardon, excuse me, I raise your century of oppression with my achy bones. It's not a great look, not a great look. So something else I realized about having Marfan syndrome, it can sometimes make you feel like life is a little unfair, like you've been gypped. I felt especially gypped 6 months after my 18th birthday when I found out that I could have had a Make-A-Wish. Nobody fucking told me. Not one person was like, hey, while you're getting diagnosed with that disorder, let me tell you something exciting. So yeah, well apparently I couldn't have gotten a full Make-A-Wish. I would have gotten what I like to call a Choose-A-Wish, which is a generic brand of a Make-A-Wish where they say you can either meet one C-list celebrity on our payroll or go to Disney World. So if you're a 9-year-old with a heart condition who wants to ride Thunder Mountain or meet Tony Shalhoub, it's your lucky day. Who knew that I guess you gotta be the Brad Pitt of dying to meet Brad Pitt. Gotta try harder, I guess. Something I've been thinking recently, I've been getting really jealous of old people, and this is not like the, oh, I'm in my 20s, let me just talk about everyone over the age of 40 as old kind of way. This is like octogenarian plus kind of old, that kind of old where you're like, they no longer care what anyone in the world thinks about them or how they impact the world at all. I first thought this whenever I was straightening up in a parking garage, so in a parking lot. So you know how you're like, you're doing that one last little, like, let me pull out, pull back in, and I hear a whack on the front of my car. It is a 90-year-old man just smacked the hood of my car with his cane as if I am the asshole because he needs to walk now. He cannot walk in 3 seconds. He needs to walk right now. And then he just holds his hand up at me as he waddles past at the slowest speed I've ever seen a human being move. So that's like, where do we get that kind of confidence? Like along the road, I apologize to waiters when they get my order wrong. When do I get that confidence? Do you like turn 50 and then they just like hand it, like, here you go, you've done enough life, now you can just be an ass to everyone. Because I'm looking forward to it. God, I need that so bad. I get trampled by every person I talk to. I'm a little too much of a pushover. Yeah, my grandpa's the same kind of way. So he's night blind. Aren't we all when it's dark, right? Didn't realize that was a qualification. And now I know why, though. They live in Montana at the top of a very windy mountain road. And there are a few restaurants at the bottom of that mountain road. He always offers to pay for dinner if we let him drive. And like I said, night blind. You know when after dinner time normally is? Dark time. Not the time for night blind people to be driving, but free dinner. Like, so we let him drive, and it's not the safest. We've taken out a few construction barricades, but it's fine. He just doesn't need to care because he's completed life. He's gone through. He's done it all once. He's just repeating things now. So like he'll take us all with him off this giant cliff into the wherever off that giant cliff goes. We haven't seen it yet, but one day. Another unfortunate thing is whenever I sit in this car, I'm usually put in the trunk because I don't fit in a normal seat. In the back seat, I can fit in the front seat, but he needs those to drive. I am in the trunk, so I get to be the human backup camera, which is fun because he's deaf also. So it's just me yelling to myself in the trunk, like, "You're currently crashing the car! The car is crashing!" It doesn't help anyone, but I feel like a hero. So we pushed a construction barricade all the way around a parking lot one time before he realized that we were in reverse. Yeah, so let me do one more little story for you. Who went to public school here? You guys? All right. we're gonna do some public school trivia. Yeah, you never thought you'd need this knowledge. Does anyone remember any of the weird speakers that they had at their public school? Like, you remember that Tuesday where you'd all come in and like you'd go to your normal class, and then your teacher just tells you, no, sorry, we're going to the gym for the whole day, or at least like 4 hours probably. Yeah. And you never knew what was going to be in that gym when you got there. Sometimes it was a yo-yo salesman. Do you guys remember the yo-yo salesman? And do you remember the fact that he sold every kid a yo-yo, and then they just had to ban yo-yos like a week later? Like, you brought him here. Like, what? Don't bring the yo-yo salesman into school if you don't want everyone to buy yo-yos. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So yeah, sometimes it'd be yo-yo salesmen. Sometimes it would be 4 white dudes named Chad who wanted to teach us about African history, and specifically African drumming. All 4 of them were named Chad, and I know that sounds so not real, but it's etched in my mind, the fact that all 4 of these 20 to 25-year-old men were all African drumming and all named Chad. I guess they attended the Rachel Dolezal School of African Studies. It's a woman who pretended she was black for a long time. That one's not as strong as I had hoped. But yeah, so my favorite one actually was the Power Team. Anyone remember Power Team? You remember Power Team? Okay, we all remember Power Team here. Do you remember their whole spiel? It's like a DARE-funded anti-drugs program where a bunch of jacked dudes came in and just ripped phone books in half. And at the end they're like, you can't do this if you're on drugs. And I was like, oh. I feel like you can only do that if you're on drugs. Like, maybe not like weed and the drugs that y'all care about, but like there are some amphetamines and some steroids happening over here. I'm not really sure they're the best messengers to tell us why we shouldn't do drugs, because you're just giving us an idea of what we could look like if we started doing drugs now. Yeah, they were a quirky group of guys. How do you get that job? Like, who recruits you for that? It's like a bus stop. You're like, you look huge. You want to come rip some phone books in half in front of children? Doesn't really. I've done some weird things for money. I've been Chewbacca for money many times, regularly almost. So yeah, I'll get booked by a guy who owns a Chewbacca suit, and then they tell me where to go, and then I'll show up and I'll Chewbacca there. Sometimes these events are frat parties, which always makes it interesting because I'm never alone at these. I'm always with, usually my guy I'm there with is a 53-year-old theater actor named Greg. Greg's usually in a minion costume, and I think they hire Greg as a human pinata because this man, they just like to rip the hairs off the top of the costume and shove them in the eye holes. Like he's really just there just to beat them up. I'm there to hang out with though, and I try to protect Greg as much as possible. But there's only so much you can do because I can't break character because I don't want to ruin the magic for all of these monsters. So all I have is the that's all I got to convey a whole hey, please stop injuring this small man. He breaks. Poor Greg. No. Also, when they try to come up and peer pressure you, like, oh, come on, Chewbacca, you want to do a keg stand? And you just that's not a no to them. They don't take that as a no. They take that as a resounding yes. So I need to learn how to build more of that no in how do you make that sound more like a no? Because that's also very similar to what it sounds like when I start to drown in beer. So they don't really know when to stop, and it gets real bad, real messy, real fast. Not really fun after a certain point. I'll do one last little thing for you. I'm what you would call a pussy. Not necessarily what you would call a pussy, what my uncle would call a pussy, because I ordered a strawberry daiquiri one time. And fruit is for women. Learn that one. He didn't start by calling me pussy, he started by calling me soft when I put on sunscreen. Because real men just get skin cancer, I guess. All right, well, thank you guys so much. I don't even know.